Hello, I'm Kevin with Gaming the Systems. Welcome to my game room. Today I'm going to talk about the value of this collection, and I've already made a video like this in 2019 where I evaluated the price of all my consoles and all my games and how much they go for on eBay and so forth. Obviously a lot has happened since that 2019 video. Today I'm going to reassess the value and compare it to those prices I had in 2019. If that doesn't sound entertaining to you and you would rather see a tour, I have done a tour video before and I will link it up there in a card and I will link it in the description. I will also link that 2019 video where I evaluated my collection. So during the pandemic, prices of retro games did go up, in case you didn't know. And I think it's because people were bored because they were stuck at home more often. So they bought some retro games to kill time, and that pushed the prices up. I also think they bought them to relieve the stress of the pandemic. Nostalgia is good medicine. I also think another group of people have entered the retro gaming world who view this as a commodity only, and maybe they weren't really gamers to begin with, but with the sneaker reselling and the PS5 reselling and the graphics cards reselling, it doesn't surprise me that some people have come into this world to buy and sell these games to make some money. So with the prices the way they are, I'm going to take an unpopular position here, and I'm going to advise that you don't collect video games. At least not in this way, because the price of entry is just way too high right now. If you're into these types of games, you should instead emulate. Emulate on your computer, emulate on a Raspberry Pi, buy an EverDrive cart. There's a lot of different options out there, and I truly think that you're going to have a much more balanced life if you're not spending all your money on this type of stuff. But regardless of my views, I do hope you enjoyed this video, so let's head into it. Just to give you an idea of what to expect in this video, I'm going to first go over the most expensive games that I own. Then I'll move on to the most expensive consoles that I own. I'll discuss the methodology of how I come up with the pricing, and I'll compare all those prices to 2 years ago. I'll take a look at some of the trends that have developed in the past 2 years. I'm also going to go over some odd patterns in the pricing of certain games. And then I'll wrap it up with some predictions about the future. I'm going to start off by showing you the top 25 most expensive games that I own in 2021. And here is a list of the top 15 games I showed in the last video and the prices they were in 2019. And now I'll show the column of the 2021 prices for the same top 15 games of 2019. And the percent increase is in the last column right there. Notice that certain games have gone up a lot more percentage-wise than others. So that has reshaped the top 15 for 2021. And here is the top 15 for 2021. The red ones are new to the top 15. I owned all those in 2019. They've just increased so much that they've made it up to the top. And down here at the bottom are the games from 2019 that fell out of the top 15. It's because their growth rate was not as substantial as the other ones. I noticed a lot of Sega games on this list. It could be because I have a large Sega collection in comparison to the other companies. Certain Genesis games have skyrocketed. I will point out that since 2019, I have increased my collection by about 200 games. None of those new games were on the list that I just went over with you. I haven't really bought any expensive games, other than the ones that are brand new off the shelf for the modern systems. Here's an interesting stat that I dug out. The number of games above $100 in value have gone up by a factor of 4. And here is the total value of games between 2021 and 2019. Bear in mind that some of that is because I bought 200 new games, but it's a very small fraction. So moving on to the systems, I'm going to show you the top 10 most expensive systems that I own. Some of the things you'll see are dual systems that are hooked up together to each other, but I just count them as one system. And note that everything you see in front of you is included in the price, which includes the controllers and the controller extensions that are tucked underneath the trays. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about how I came up with these numbers. I used a site called pricecharting.com. It's what a lot of video game stores use for pricing their retro games. What it does is it looks at sold items on eBay and averages them out over time. It has some nice charts that compare prices over time. I don't want to sound like I'm plugging the site, I don't work for them or anything, but you can catalog your collection on the site, and at any time you can log in and look at the value of your collection and where it's trending. I like to use this site when I'm about to make a bid on eBay. I don't want to bid too much, so I check this site to see what the trend is for that particular game. But the site is not perfect. It has trouble calculating things that don't get sold too often. So if you have something super, super rare, you may want to just use other methods to determine the value of that. There's also this thing about eBay. If I place a game on eBay for $500 as a buy it now, but I turn on the best offer option, and someone offers me $200 for it, and I go ahead and accept their offer and make the sale, eBay keeps that price that I negotiated with them a secret, from what I understand. And so if someone's looking up the data, it'll make it look like I sold the game for $500 when I didn't. That inflates the prices of not just video games, but of a lot of other things. Unless they have taken care of that issue. I'm pretty sure they're still doing it though. There's another thing that actually causes eBay prices to be undervalued, and that is the number of reproductions and fake games that are being sold out there. Those kinds of things sell for less than the actual game, and I'm not sure if price charting knows how to filter out those listings. So no, it's not perfect, but overall it is a good tool to use. Here are some things about my specific methodology. I did not go back and recalculate every system and every accessory that I have for 2021. I already did that in 2019 and it took a long time. That's just too much work. I instead just went and got updates for the most expensive things, with some spot checking here and there on certain things. You can't just look at a chart on price charting and figure out what the price is. You have to think about the cosmetic condition, how functional the unit is, what model it is. That's a lot to sort out when you're looking at a bunch of eBay listings. But I did do that for the ones that I just showed in the top 10. And another thing I didn't do is include the value of my mini systems. These things are not that old, and frankly, I don't care about what their value is at this time. In the future, it'll be interesting. But right now, they probably are at the value they were when they were first sold. With all that in mind, this is the total value of my collection in 2019 and 2021. Had I recalculated every single accessory, the 2021 total probably would have been larger. Now I'm going to talk about some weird trends that I noticed when I was looking through the data, and one that just shocked me is the price of this game for the Atari Jaguar called Attack of the Mutant Penguins. This is a game I own, and I have also reviewed it on this channel, and for the most part, the game sucks. But I can't believe how much it's gone up in price during the pandemic. The complete inbox, which I have, is around $200. And most of the growth is happening in 2021. I have no idea what's going on with this game and why so many people are bidding on it. Did somebody make some kind of viral video about it? I don't know. I kind of think that there's people inflating the price of this just to be funny because the game is not that good. Or it could be just because the game is super rare. Let me know if you have any theories. Let's compare that to Rayman, another game I own on the Jaguar. Look how its pricing has pretty much been stable over time. This is a much better game than Attack of the Mutant Penguins, so it's not like all Jaguar games are going up in price. Here's another game of mine that I barely even knew I had, but I just happened to notice it's increased by a lot in 2021. Most of the increases come in the past several months. Did somebody do a huge review on this game? I have no idea. Maybe it's a great game and people are just now figuring that out. Here's another game that has jumped a lot in value, Castlevania Order of Ecclesia for the Nintendo DS, which I have. I remember playing it and not liking it as much as other Castlevania games, but I must be wrong about that because this thing has really soared. So let me know if you have any thoughts about why that game is trending. And lastly, I wanted to show you the cheapest game in my collection. NFL Quarterback 98 for the N64. And I have it loose, and that is hovering around $1. I thought that was very interesting. Of all the sports games that I own, this is the least valuable. I imagine it's because it's a sports game and it was overproduced. And I don't think a lot of the N64 fans play a lot of the sports games on it. Here's my predictions as far as the pricing of my own collection. I believe in the next 5 years, it's going to moderately grow. I think at the 10-year point from now, it's going to flatten out. And I think 25 years from now, this kind of stuff is going to fall in value as people lose interest in these relics. Jumping ahead 100 years, these things will be in a landfill or will be incinerated or something like that, because the lack of interest will be so much that people will just want to dump them. Jumping a little bit further to 5.4 billion years into the future, our sun will become a red giant and will likely destroy the entire Earth. So in that case, my games will just be dust floating through space. Maybe a few of them survive and someone picks them up from their spacecraft. Maybe humans or maybe aliens. They'll find some of my games embedded in an asteroid, and as they chip away at the rock and free the games from the asteroid, they may become a collector's item once again. And maybe there'll be some buyers somewhere out in space who will pay some good space money for the stuff that I enjoyed. And finally, trillions and trillions of years into the future, the universe will suffer a heat death. Everything will die out, and it will just become empty space. At that point, my games will become zero again in value, as well as everything else in the universe. And I want to say thank you to my Patreon members, Wilshire, Connor Mildenberger, and Chicago. If you want to become a member, check out the link in the description. I'm working on a lot of things for this year, and I'm hoping to continue to improve this channel. With all that being said, may your games make you happy and smart, and may people respect you for playing them. So long, everyone.